By the way, Rav Nachman doesn't need you to be a Breslov chassid. He doesn't care if you're a Gera chassid, a Belza chassid, or a Litvak. He just wants you to connect to Hashem. He just wants to bring the world to connect to the spirituality in this materialistic, mundane world that's so diluted. Anything that we say is with a disclaimer. We're never attempting to say Pshat in Rav Nachman. We're saying Pshat in what Rav Nachman means to me.
Let's get going here. Okay, so this is marks the sort of the second week that we started with this Kollel here in Thornhill, and it's the beginning. It's brand new. Everybody's here on the ground floor, and we have to, our Chabura here is also part of beginning this program throughout the whole world. People have been doing it a little longer than us, but we're helping from our place over here to try to make a mahalach, a derech, and a way to learn these Torahs of Rabbi Nachman in the way of the Bir Likutim, and the way of L'Tal B'Tarasa in Eretz Yisrael, and the way of the Kollel Toras Chaim. So the first thing that we have to understand is that this learning of Likutei Moharan is meant to be be'iyun, which means in depth. And we are expecting to spend on this Torah Beis, in Tinyana, Yemei Chanukah, until Rosh Chodesh Adar, which is a little over 3 months on this one Torah. And in order to do this, we have to have the Kalim to be able to be mamik, to be able to get deep. We have to have the tools to be able to get deep and to be able to pull out what Rabbi Nachman has hidden in these Torahs. I have a few things to say about this, and I want to explain a few aspects of a few of the 18 principles of learning Likutei Moharan that'll sort of help us to understand this a little bit. But the main thing to start off with is that in this Kollel, we are tearing this Torah apart word by word, and the way that this method of learning that we're doing over here, and I've done it, parts of it for years already, and parts of it are a little bit new. But I'm telling you, if you do this, things will come out from this Torah that you can't imagine. You can't imagine. You will begin to see depth in these Torahs that when you go back to them afterwards, it's a new universe, and it's unbelievable. And you may think, I already read through it, I already saw it. Maybe even after a month, I got pretty deep. I'm telling you, there's more. It keeps going and it keeps getting deeper, and there's multiple stages. So first of all, the Derech is like this. The first stage, which we have all been Makayim to a certain level in the first week and a half over here, is to go through the Torah very quickly, just to get a basic understanding of what the ideas are, without even knowing exactly what they are. Like we understood a few things. I don't know about you, but I still have no idea what the Ribu HaDibur is really actually talking about, each step of it, and how it comes together, and how it comes together with the three names of Hashem together, right? I mean, I see what the words are saying. I see a few connections, but there's stuff to figure out over here. There's deep connections to find, right? So just go through and see what are the steps, what are the main points of each paragraph, of each bechina. What are the bechinas flowing through? How do they flow together? It's good at this point to make a summary, to make a flowchart, to make notes, to see what they are, right? Get through the whole Torah, get a general idea of what the flow is. This is the top yud of the aleph base of learning Likutei Moharan, the very, very, very beginning. Okay. Then we're going to go through again, and now we can start to ask questions. And the advice of so many amazing, fantastic people, and people who have spent their whole lives learning in yeshiva, and they come to learning Likutei Moharan in a way of be'iyun, is they all say, begin to ask questions and write them down. Because what's going to happen is that as we go through the Torah, and we'll talk about the first klal momentarily, but those questions are going to act as grounding points and placeholders, which will allow us to see the depth come out and those questions be answered. But if we don't begin to ask the questions and to start to try to understand, then we're not going to pull that out. The first klal of the Chai Klalim. So the Chai Klalim, the 18 principles of learning the Likutei Moharan, were derived from things that Rabbi Nachman said, things that Rav Nosson said, and they were written by Rav Avram bar Rav Nachman, who was the son of one of the main student of Rav Nosson. And he wrote these 18 principles of how to learn the Likutei Moharan, which when followed are able to pull out the depth of the Torah, and we're able to see amazing things come out. The first klal is very often considered to be kind of the most important one. And it basically says, I just wrote a whole English version of all these klalim that explains them nicely, and gives them some context and some lemaisa recommendations about how to accomplish them. And that's going to come out very soon in the publication. But I can print it off for everybody also. But this klal basically tells us that we should not be looking, certainly in the beginning, not till the very end, into other places to find answers to the questions that bother us in this Torah. We shouldn't be saying, I remember I saw in the Noam Elimelech, he says like this. I saw the Ben Ish Chai says like this. That's not the way to learn the Likutei Moharan.
And it's just eitzah. I'm not saying that it's a chiyuv, but it's an eitzah. And the eitzah is number one, surrender. Surrender anything that you knew before to what he's saying. And don't say, I saw this in the Kedusha's Levi, or I learned Mesilas Yesharim, or I said. Don't try to fit it into your spirituality, to anything that you did in Torah until now. Surrender as if you're not trying to fit it into something that you already had.
The Rebbe made it that each Torah is its own structure. And the klal is that each one of the bechinas within the Torah explains the other bechinas. And meaning, they all explain each other. And if you begin to start through the Torah and have questions in the first place, in the first bechina, then we're going to see in the next bechina how it's connected. How does this first bechina connect to the next one? How does that one connect to the next one? And then they all actually connect to each other, and they all explain each other in a way that is unbelievable. And I'm telling you, I've every single time I've learned the Likutei Moharan, I see this with my own eyes very clearly. And we begin to see a mahalech in the Torah, something that runs through the entire Torah that brings everything together. And then we begin to see how all of the parts relate to each other. But it's only when we employ this aspect of minei ubei. One bechina is explained by the other, and they all explain each other, right? Because if we start going other places, we're not going to be hearing what the Rebbe is teaching us. We're not going to be hearing what he planted into this Torah. We're going to be hearing what we want to hear from other places, right? The amazingness and depth comes out of the Torah when we apply this principle. So we don't look other places, and we begin to look how does each section illuminate and explain the other section? How are they connected, right? That's the first klal. And the first important, what? Bechina means aspect, concept.
Okay.
Aspect or concept, right? So this is something that's important. And I want you all, whoever really wants to make a haschala, make a beginning and make an effort to understand why do people talk about the Sefer in the way they talk about it? Why is there a whole book of all the biggest mekubalim and all Hasidic Rebbes and Svardish Manhigim and Rosh Yeshiva who all talk about the Sefer as if there's nothing like it in the universe, right? Because it's unique and it's amazing, and if you look deep in this way, things will come out that you can't imagine. Beautiful depth. This is the first klal. There's another couple of the 18 that I think that help us out. The second klal tells us that the Rebbe told us himself that he wants us to be medayik in his words, medayik kemikra. Just like when we open a chumash and we look at a word and we say, wait a second, Why does he all of a sudden say smuchim ukarevim? He's telling us, I'm extremely careful with my words, and everything that I say is meaningful. He didn't need to say smuchim ukarevim. He didn't need to say toida vehoida. What is he telling us? What do these words mean? Be medayek very carefully in every word that the Rebbe says, and we're going to see that there's something there. If it's putting up a question in our mind, it means that because he put it there for us to see, there's something behind it, and it's going to be amazing. Yeah. One of the things we also say is it's okay, especially in the beginning, to have a question without an answer. Once again, don't answer the question from what you think you know already. See how the question is going to be answered through the words of the rest of the Torah. It's mamash amazing. Okay, so every single time the Rebbe brings a pasuk, an example, a dugma or a mashal, whatever it is, we have to know that it's specifically chosen for a specific reason. And something amazing is that when we take a pasuk that the Rebbe brings as a raya, as a proof, and the Rebbe wants us to go and see it in its context. Look at the whole parak where it came from, the Chumash, from the Navi, wherever it is. See the main mefarshim on that pasuk. Understand the whole story, the whole situation over there. Two things can happen through this. First of all, by seeing the whole story, it will illuminate that part of Likutei Moharan. You'll see that there's something much deeper. There's a reason why the Rebbe chose this particular pasuk to be his proof, even though there could have been other pasukim from other places. The whole story over there is connected to the whole Torah base over here that we're learning, and it'll illuminate the whole entire Torah, not just that one spot. Secondly, when we get into the depth of this Torah and we start understanding, these things start jumping out, these depths comes out, we're going to see a whole new pirush, a whole new depth to that whole pasuk and that whole chapter that it came from in the Chumash. We're going to have a whole deeper understanding of that as well, right? So we have to take everything, whether it's a pasuk or a maimar chazal, we have to understand that it's specific and it's deep and there's something hidden behind it. Very, very important. Two more ideas within the column that I want to say for today to get us started. There's Klal Dalin. This is a wild one, and it's really cool, and it's important, very important. So it teaches us like this. It teaches us that if you notice, if you open the BRI Likutei Moharan, right at the beginning of every Torah, the first big paragraph is always an explanation of the history surrounding that Torah. When was it written? Where was it written? What was happening in the lives of Rabbi Nachman and his Talmidim at that time, right? This klal tells us that the way that this Torah was revealed into the world by Rabbi Nachman with tremendous hasagas, incredible levels of understanding, it was revealed into the world through all of the events surrounding it, together with the actual writing and revelation of the Torah that he gave over. And the events that were happening and the conversations that Rabbi Nachman was having with his Talmidim about this Torah, surrounding that Torah. There's whole sections in Sichos Haran and Chai Moran which talk about when the Torahs were given and what Rabbi Nachman said about them and what was happening at those times. The way they were revealed played a role in the revelation. Why? Because Rabbi Nachman is teaching us every single Torah in Likutei Moharan is a pathway, is a sulam, is a ladder, is a derech, a way to live that will elevate us to a new place. And each Torah contains eitzos, pieces of advice, contains avodas, things that to do, avodas Hashem, things that we do in avodas Hashem. And you can't understand the Torah that we're learning without doing the avodah, without taking the eitzos and incorporating them into our lives, and taking the avodas and actually doing them. Because Rabbi Nachman was zoicha to the hasagas, to these tremendous deep things, through the fact that he was living that life. He was being Makayim, the whole Torah. He was being Makayim all those eitzes. He was fulfilling those eitzes and those avodas. And through that, he was following that path and reaching those high levels. And so us too. If we want to learn the Torah and understand it, we have to take, even at the beginning on a simple level, those eitzes and be mekayim them. So for example, every time we finish our chabura over here, the four of us, I always say, okay, what can we take home with us now? Haidah. Just start living with Haidah while we're learning this Torah. Start living with Haidah and being thankful for things, right? Start, when we're heading into Shabbos, let's remember that there's a shleimus of dibur on Shabbos. Our essence and our speech gets to a whole new level on Shabbos. Why? Because of dabar davar, right? The Chazal tell us that we need to speak in a different way on Shabbos, and when we speak in a different way on Shabbos, Rabbi Nachman tells us our speech is perfected and elevated, and it draws in emes, and it draws in all of these things. So let's this Shabbos make sure that we're working on our dibur. Let's make sure the whole week we're working on our dibur, and on Shabbos it's going on steroids into an amazing place. Right? We have to live the Torah in order to have the hasagas on our own level, right? That Rabbi Nachman implanted within them. And this needs with it also, by the way, one thing that is within, I think, 4 of the Kollel is the aspect of emunah. We also have to go into this Torah with emunah, knowing that and knowing that there's something there, there's something deep there, and being mekayim these avodas, from the beginning, knowing that if I approach the Torah the way the Rebbe wanted me to, that something's gonna be revealed to me. The emunah point comes into a bunch of the klalim. They all speak about this idea that there's gonna be things that we see when we open the Sefer. There's gonna be things that appear to be contradictory, right? And that we don't get. There's going to be things that appear like they don't fit. I'm seeing that there's a mahalach in the Torah. Now I see something that doesn't seem to fit. Right? I need to say to myself, you know why this doesn't fit? It's because I don't have the understanding. I don't have the ability or the understanding to see it yet. Right? But I have emunah that if I put my effort into it and I approach it the right way, that it's going to be revealed to me. And the Bir Lakutim says that it's specifically through the emunah that it builds a keli that this will be revealed to us. Because you know what? None of us have the ability to understand on a level of Rabbi Nachman. We need emunah, we need the Rabbanu Shalom to give us the kelim to be able to understand it, to be able to it needs to be revealed to us. We can't do it. Yeah? So we have to approach it with this type of emunah, and it's specifically the emunah which is going to be a keli, a vessel, to be able to receive the revelation of what's really going on here. So what I'm trying to get at is that this limud with all of these different aspects, and there's 18 klalim that are all important and they're very interesting, and it's very, very kedai to see them. It changes everything, right? But this limud is not just where we sit and we intellectually read something and be like, okay, that's nice. This is about living this Torah. We need to work to be mekayim the eitzes of the Torah. We need to be thinking about the Torah every day. We need to be putting emunah into it. And then we're going to see that things are going to be revealed to us on a level that is beyond our simple level to understand. Right? We're gonna be able to receive very, 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 very special hasagas that in a new way that we didn't in the past. So it's an avoida. It's going to be of a little over 3 months learning this Torah, and you'll see there's going to be different shiurim from different people that are going to speak to different people. Here, there's, for example, those who have a more of a yeshiva or kollel background. So Rav Mati Gottlieb, who's the main manhig of Latayal B'Taraso in Eretz Yisrael. He gives over shirim in English, and they're very different from most of the breslev shirim you ever hear. It feels like you're sitting in a Gemara shir in yeshiva, right? And he really goes in a deep way, and specifically through the first klal of Minei Obey, and starts to begin to unravel very great depth in the Torah in this way. It's fantastic. And these shirim are going to be coming from him. The Nachman Fried gives shirim that are also deep, and amazing, but packed with emotion and packed with inspiration, right? He's amazing, right? There's different people throughout the world give shirim. Rabbi Yaakov Klein is on there. Rabbi Yosef Rosenfeld is on there. A number of others, right? And there's going to be a lot of material flowing. There's going to be a lot of depth to uncover. So this is the question: are we ready to sit? Are we ready to be medayik kamikra? Are we ready to start figuring out minei ubei? Are we ready to start asking questions and seeing what's revealed to us? My experience is that I have to be careful when I say this and who hears it. But the greatest simcha and or in my entire life, I'm not holding anything back out of that, has been getting to the later stages of understanding a Torah and Likutei Moharan. I've never experienced such a joy, such pleasure, and such illumination as I have from spending time and getting deep into a Torah of Rabbi Nachman. I can't even explain it. I go out of my kelim. It's absolutely unbelievable, and we can all do it. I promise you, but we got to go step by step and follow this program. The rewards are amazing. So that's the introduction that I wanted to give today about the Derech and how we're going to go about this. Any questions?
Are there additional commentaries derived from this that we would be using?
Eventually.
Okay.
Not for a while, though.
Those are my questions.
We want to stay away from, like we said in the beginning, want to stay away from commentaries for a while.
Right.
One of the way that Reb Nachman Fried likes to explain it is he says his two main goals in this program are that we should live the Torah of Rabbi Nachman, live it, not just we want to change our lives, right? That's the first thing, and the second thing is that we should hear the Rebbe talking to us as individuals. I have a different mind than you have, and everyone has a different mind. We're all going to hear the Rebbe speak to speak to us, and as soon as we start to go off into commentaries, right, and at the beginning, it's gone. We're not going to be able to get back to what our original capabilities to understand and to have questions and what's going to speak to me is going to be, right? So we have to approach it like this in the beginning.
Are we collectively as a group aggregating all our questions together?
You know what? So this is actually a good point for our chabur over here. So we have chavrusas, and this is essentially just a larger chavrusa over here at this table, right? And so everybody should write down their questions, and everybody should bring them. And you know what? As we get more into it, we should ask each other our questions. We can bring them up because we're not going to have the answers to everything. We can ask them back and forth. Additionally, I would like that for those who feel comfortable, that at least once a week, I want that there should be a chabura given, like a shir on maybe on Thursday, and it would be nice if different people, based on where they are and the hasagas that they've been able to reach in the limud, that they'll be able to give over. So those who have been around a little while and who have been learning for a while, it's kedai to think, I'm getting somewhere, I'm seeing something, I'm seeing, I'm having my own chidushim based on what I'm seeing coming out from here, and you could give over a chabura, right? It doesn't even have to be so rigid, like you see a mahalach starting to form. You could go over to someone and say, hey, you know what? I personally, I think just even after one time through the whole Torah now that we made through, I think personally I'm beginning to see a mahalach that links the whole entire Torah together, that goes to everything, one thing. I'm not saying it over yet, but it's starting to come out, and it's building, and I see that it's connected to every single part, and it speaks to every single part, and it's beginning to speak to me, and it's beginning to open up, and as we go, it's going to come more. But so I could come and I could say, I could give a chabura next week. Here's how I see the mahalach of the Torah going. I could go over to Yisrael tomorrow and be like, hey, this is what I'm thinking over here. What do you think? And we can start to schmooze. We can start to bring it out. This is meant to be a place where we learn b'chavrusa, but we also, support each other and bring out new chidushim in what we're learning over here, right? When we were learning the last Torah through the Kollel Toras Chaim, Reb Nachman Fried, he would give me sometimes, he'd send me emails that were written to him. There's a chabura in like Rechavia who was learning this. Came up with some amazing chidushim, right? And we're not only sharing between the people, that we're immediately learning with, but even worldwide, things are getting shared. And hasagas are coming up, and chidushim are coming up. So it's a real amazing opportunity to understand on a much deeper level. Any other questions? Anybody? No?
Not on the video.
Yeah, a lot of this will be taken off of the video, but
Could you invoice me for this book?
yes, can I leave that on the video?
I missed the first week.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like the easy.
Was there a point where you were telling, where we were first learning the history of when he gave over this?
No.
There wasn't a point of that.
No, we didn't start that yet. Yeah.
That should be after we already went through the Torah.
It's interesting. That didn't come up in any of the stuff I saw when to look at these particular things, but I would say that it should come after the initial stage anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like because when we see that, it'll begin to help us to understand how some of the questions that are bugging us will come to play.
But the Talmidim knew what was going on when they heard this Torah.
In the world,
Yeah.
sometimes there's a Torah
Like
that
in this Torah, let's say, for example,
Yeah.
when his father walked in at a certain point, or his brother came in, or a different Talmud came in at a certain point, that's what brought up certain things.
right.
So we didn't see this while they're hearing this.
Right.
The Torah was done in certain
Yeah.
stages. So maybe knowing that from the beginning, when you learn the Torah, it would change.
Maybe, but on the other hand, many of the Torahs, there were things going on that they didn't realize.
Right.
Like when he wrote the Torah of with that you have to enclothe your tefillahs in Sipurei Maises,
Yes, yeah.
right? At the time of when the decrees were going to come out, but they hadn't come out yet. The decrees of the Cantonists, and really that's what was going on. He gave over a Torah that mentioned in it, hidden in it was the Petira of the Berditchever, and no one knew what was going on except for him. So I think yes and no. I don't think it really matters also, but what speaks to me really about this is to go through this and get your own questions, see how it's speaking to you, and then these things will start to answer questions, as opposed to seeing those first and then going through and be like, oh, that's what this is. That's what this is. I think for me it works better. Also, another thing that Nachman Fried likes to say, not like to say in Eretz Yisrael, but he likes to say that at the end of the day, we all are different, and we all learn differently. So there's 18 Kollel, and there's a Derech that we have prepared in Toras Chaim that has 3 stages, and this is a good way to go, and it works well. But if you're a little different and you learn differently in some way, so do what you want to do. But using all of these tools will also help us to be able to, 3 months is a long time to learn one Torah. It's like being back in yeshiva and staying on one daf, maybe 2, maybe 1.5 daf of Gemara for like 3 months. Yeah, you have to have time. You have to go deep, and you have to have kalim and tools and places to go. So the whole system helps to give us guidance in how we can go deeper and how we can pull those things out also. Right? But at the same time, if you think seeing the history first works better for you, go ahead. It might. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay, shkoyach chavra.
I can't wait to see when it touches you, when the Rebbe starts talking to you, and you're gonna get it. Oh.